Happy Friday night, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Rank It. This is a show where we go and we find something and we set it up in the tiers that we deem necessary to let everybody know how we feel about it. Thank you for being with us on Park Adventurers Club. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel, the Park Adventurers Club. You can find us at parkadventuresclub.com anytime. We have lots of programming for you. But tonight we are going to be ranking the movies of the Muppets. And you know what? One of my favorite guys. I love this guy. I reached out to him. I was like, hey, do you mind doing this with me? And he's like, nah, I got you. He's like, I'll probably be, on a road trip at the time and would love to talk to you. And then here he is. It's Charlie. What's going on, fella?
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be here.
I like your devotion to the bit where, you watch the Muppet movie, moving right along, road trip. You were like, I
Yeah,
got to be in a car to do this. That's
yeah, in my natural habitat. I couldn't get a hold of a Studebaker, but I got as close as I could.
They're looking for a brown Studebaker, not a Studebaker that's painted like a rainbow. Yeah, exactly. So thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it. And you know what? With Muppets, I think I go crazy about the Muppets, but I need like a reality check sometimes to know if like the Muppet stuff that I'm thinking of, like if I'm just nostalgic about it or not. So we're gonna talk about these movies. We're talking about the big screen movies, the 8 big screen movies, the ones that were released in the theater. So we're not talking about Kermit the Swamp Years. We're not talking about Wizard of Oz. We're not talking about Muppets Haunted Mansion. We're not talking about the TV series. Just these 8 movies. And because it was on a big screen and it's about to close in 2 weeks, Muppet Vision 3D. You had Muppet Vision out. You're in California. You had Muppet Vision at
Hmm.
Disney California Adventure, and I think you personally
Yeah,
shut it down, didn't you? Is that what
I
happened?
did. I did. Yeah, it was a long letter writing campaign. I chained myself to the Miss Piggy statue at one point. It
Yeah.
got real, but we succeeded, and then we got a frozen clip show for my efforts. So, yay.
A Frozen clip show. It's a Frozen sing along, sir, is what you want to be saying. I don't
Oh,
know
excuse
where you
me.
get off
I
with this
I don't know
clip
if
show.
you've ever been through there, but there's not a lot of singing along that went in. There was a lot of kids screaming, but not a lot of singing along to the music. It was, I mean, I'm not even that big of a Muppet Vision fan. Like, spoiler alert, it wasn't my favorite show, but it was so much better than what it was replaced with for so long.
Yeah, no, that's true. I can get that. So the Muppets are notoriously self-deprecating. That's like their bit. Is they're like they're always starting out in a place of squalor and all of these other things. And as I'm watching all these movies again, I'm realizing that have they shot themselves in the foot? Is it that they've told everyone that they're just trash and therefore everybody else thinks that they're trash? I mean, tell me who your favorite Muppet is.
My favorite Muppet, it changes over the years. I was thinking about that a lot as I was kind of prepping for this. I've always liked Uncle Deadly. I know he's kind of one of the more recent additions, but like just his comedy style hits me where I live. But growing up, I was all about Bean Bunny, and like I think this is also one of those things where no matter what generation you're from, even if you were like a full-on adult when the Muppet Show came out for the first time, everybody's got a favorite Muppet. Everybody thinks about it, and when you were watching it, even if you were in your 40s when it came out, you still remember like, oh, this is the one I liked as a kid. And like, now I've lived my whole life with the Muppets being around, and like it changes through time of who your favorite Muppet is, who you identify with, the movies, your opinion of each of the movies change, all that kind of stuff. It really grows with you.
Well, we're going to talk about that in the movies is what's nostalgia and what's real.
Yeah.
This is my man right here, Pepe. I love
All
Pepe.
right. Yeah, I get that.
Pepe broke out from Muppets Tonight, which was a TV show on ABC back on their TGIF. This is our TGIF. That was their TGIF. And I loved Pepe and the whole Pepe Okay. And so when we get to like the ones that have Pepe in them, I'm gonna have a little bit of bias. But
Yeah.
before we get into what we're ranking specifically, you and I talked about this a little bit. Is like we got to have rules. What are we ranking this on? What are we rating this on? And so story was one, and I think you said caveat or lack thereof a story.
Just coherence of a story, and I think it's especially some of the earlier ones. They just have a tendency to go off the rails, not in like, oh my gosh, it's so wacky, but in just like, was this a skit that we were trying to squeeze in here? Like, it doesn't have anything to do with anything. Why are we taking this break for this right now? And as you know, it's funny on the show when it's individualized, but to throw off the flow of the film, I think that's like a detractor. So I almost felt like that could be its own thing, is its own category, coherence, because the later films finally got that on lock, and they at least stick through the story all the way now.
Yeah. Well, and then that leads me to my second point, which is gags. A lot of the times, like to your point, the gag is put in there and makes no sense to the story. But I think that there's a series of gags, whether it's the very first movie in The Fork in the Road, or maniacal laugh in the Muppets. There's a gag that goes through it, so the gags are
Hmm.
there. The music, I think, is an important part of Muppet movies, and it's very different in the fact that sometimes they're original songs, sometimes they're remakes, etc. And then the cameos, which, by the way, I was rewatching the Jim Henson documentary. And he was amazing, by the way. And it's directed by Ron Howard. If you
Hmm.
haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus. But in there, he was saying that when Frank Oz directed Muppets Take Manhattan, he wanted to change from the original couple of movies in the fact that they found stars and they put them in the movie. He wanted to write roles and then find stars for them. So again, cameos I think are an important part of the Muppets heritage. And then also, does it stand the test of time? And then maybe I think also the fourth wall thing, because they're very meta. They're very,
Yeah.
yeah, and whether that's a thing. So the movies that we're looking at, and we're going to, again, we're gonna tier them tonight for you guys, and play along in the chat. We'd love to get your thoughts on it. Is we have the Muppet Movie, the original, the Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, the Muppets Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, MuppetVision, Muppets from Space, The Muppets, and then The Muppets Most Wanted. And we're going to rate them with S tier, Chef's Kiss, Peak Muppets, A tier, which is rewatch anytime, crowd pleasers. Pretty good, solid pick. It's fine, one and done. And then D is nostalgia, lovers only, or skip it, like nostalgia lovers, because again, like I said, it's so funny in me asking people what they think is their favorite that some of them are like, this is my favorite. I'm like, really? Have you watched it recently? Do you really, like, are you sure you know what you're getting into? So it's going to be a good conversation, my friend. I think we start, though, I don't want to start with the original. I want to start with just randomly Muppets from Space. Is that, I mean, are we good
Okay.
starting there?
Yeah. 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 You go for it, man. This
Yeah.
is your show. I'm just along for the ride.
So I don't want to necessarily do them in order here, because I feel
Yeah.
like I want to pick and choose here so we could talk a little bit about it. But Muppets from Space was done by Sony, so it's not on Disney Plus. It was the first time that we saw Pepe and Bobo and some of these characters. Clifford, your homie made of foamy, that they added to the Muppets Tonight. And it's the story of Gonzo and how he is a whatever. And it's never been addressed before with Gonzo. And so they decided to address it in a movie, and it's about him being contacted by his people, et cetera, et cetera. This one, like I said, I'm going to be a little biased when it comes to the Pepe stuff and say that I feel like for me, this one's actually probably in the middle to the top. I mean, and I don't mean the S tier. I'm not
Really?
giving it. I'm not giving it S tier. But again, yeah, it's not. It doesn't have a lot of like original Muppet stuff in it as far as music goes. It's got the Shining Star and like a lot of remake stuff in it. You're making faces though. You tell me what you
I
think about
am.
that one.
Well, so sometimes it's hard. We talk back and forth, and you'll say things, and like, I don't know which one of us is joking. We can't tell. But you said this was your favorite, and I was like, oh no, he's obviously joking. Um, I I just watched this one for the first time since it came out, because I saw it in theaters when I was a kid, and immediately I was like, I don't care, because I went in as a child. I went in expecting pigs in space, and it wasn't pigs in space at all. So I was immediately colored against it. but now watching it again as an adult, it just, especially when juxtaposed against some of these other ones, it it just doesn't have the heart, you know? I think like it's all about Gonzo, and I love Gonzo. I love following him, but it's not about the Muppets. This seems like Emmett Otter Jug Band Christmas, like where it's in the Muppet multiverse, but it's not really a Muppet movie because it's just about Gonzo, and a lot of the gags don't make use of the interplay between the Muppets. It's all either, you know, Pepe doing something funny on his own, in his own way, or Gonzo
Mm.
is doing this, or Bobo is interacting with Jeffrey Tambor,
Yeah, it was
um,
Jeffrey Tambor.
who, yeah, like it just seems so compartmentalized and individual thoughts, and it just never really grabbed me. I don't like, as an adult, I don't really care about what's going on in the way that everything else. There's so much heart in every other one. You really identify with it, you care, and this one I just could take it or leave it.
Wow. You're saying so many things. Yeah, no, I was dead
Yeah,
serious, dude. I was dead serious when I was talking about that one.
really.
And yeah, yo, shining star. Sienna in chat's going, Muppets from Space. It has a great soundtrack and Pepe, top tier, obviously. Fire Chief said, I don't remember Muppets in Space.
I didn't either until I rewatched it, and that's, I knew going
So
into this I would have to rewatch that one because I just remember as a kid looking forward to Pigs in Space, and it wasn't, and so I just sat in the theater grumping.
Muppets from Space, by the way. I'm just saying, Muppets from Space.
Muppets from Space.
In rewatching this, I had to go get the DVD because otherwise I would have had to have purchased it somewhere. So I mean, I own it. I own the DVD. So I had to find
Hmm.
something to play it on. And then like I went through these situations of like it's like one side says widescreen, one side says full screen. I'm like, this is so throwback right now. And so I don't know, man. So I would have. I'm not going to put it S tier. I'm not. I wouldn't put that on anybody. But I was going to put it in A tier. But you're feeling like C tier. Can we agree on B tier, or are you like going to be pretty
I
adamant it
just
needs to go?
for um I'll agree on C tier because
On
honestly
C?
I would have put it in D tier. Compared to these other films. Compared to, films in general, it's probably a little bit higher because it's still the Muppets. But compared to all these other films, I mean, are you really going to look at Tim Curry? Are you going to stare Tim Curry in the eyes and say, you did a worse job than Ray Liotta? Are you really going to say that? You can't. You
Okay,
can't.
okay, okay.
This
No,
is,
so here's why I'm going to concede this with you, my friend, is that I know a lot of people are very very nostalgic, passionate about the Muppet Treasure Island and
Mhm.
about Muppets Take Manhattan, and so I'm gonna maybe push back a little bit on those two when we get there for the
Okay.
same
And
reason.
I'll,
But
I think both of those
my
are better.
nostalgia. Oh yeah, but this is my
Okay. I
nostalgia.
get that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get that.
So, but it was at like again, it was at a very weird time. This came out in 1999. You know,
Hmm.
we were all worried about 2K, Y2K. We were all just in a
Y2K.
very
Yeah.
dark place, and trying to figure that out. Okay, all right. So we're putting on C tier. I'll
Okay.
concede. You came in hard, so I'm gonna concede that one. Let's talk about the one you just mentioned, Muppet Treasure Island, because Muppet Treasure Island was part of a series where they were remaking like classic movies. And so to your point about Muppets and like is it a Muppet movie or is it not? This is where they were like,
Mhm.
here's a story that exists and we're just going to put Muppets in it and do gags throughout that. And so you had Muppet Christmas Carol, then you had Muppet Treasure Island, you had Muppet Wizard of Oz, which we're not going to talk about because that was a made for TV, and they had played around with apparently King Arthur story as well around that time. So I think
Mm.
they were on a track to do more of these. And I don't hate
They
them.
also did a straight to video one that was, I know we're not talking about the small screen releases, but they did a straight to video like Fractured Fairy Tales kind of thing. They did Rumpelstiltskin and the Emperor's New Clothes and stuff like that,
Princess and the Pea, right?
direct to video. I don't
No.
think so. It was three stories. It was Rumpelstiltskin, oh, The Boy Who Cried Wolf, and the Emperor's New Clothes. And that was straight to video. And I know we're not ranking that one, but I would put that one on S tier without even a second thought. That one, oh man, I had the VHS of that growing up, so that's also, I'm sure, my nostalgia talking, but like really, and I think it's that same time when like Brian Henson was taking over and like, here's the direction we're going to go. We're going to revitalize this and bring it up. And it goes so hard and it's so goofy, but it still sticks within the story. So I love that movement they went for with Treasure Island and the Muppet Fairy Tales and the Christmas Carol. I think that period is the Muppets to a lot of us, like even more so than the variety show.
Yep. Muppets Classic Theater is what it was called. I did have the VHS,
Yeah.
not the DVD. It came out in 1994. It was 68 minutes long. And so, uh, yeah, it had, and I think it had three stories: the Three Little Pigs, King Midas, and the Boy Who Cried Wolf, and
Oh,
Rumpelstiltskin, and the Emperor's New
King
Clothes,
Midas. That's
and
what
the
it
Elves
was.
and the Shoemaker. Okay, so it had more than that.
Oh yeah, Elves and the Shoemaker. I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
That's
no, for
I
sure.
I had to track this one down because I wanted to show my kids, and I realized like I have the VHS, but I haven't had a VCR in probably 15 years. So I'm gonna have to find it digital, and I just don't know where it is. So I found it on YouTube, and I showed it to him.
And it
But I
was
hadn't
all
seen
that
that
you
since I was
dreamed
a
it would
kid.
be. Yeah.
Yeah, he loved it just the same. It's timeless.
All right, so I agree with you on Tim Curry. Tim Curry was all in on this one, just the same way Michael
Hmm.
Caine was all in on the Christmas Carol, which we'll talk about. But this one, honestly, I feel like the story's been told so many times that I don't love it. I mean, and
Okay.
again, it's there's some weirdness about it, like when it starts out and the darkness and I don't know, but again, in talking to our pack, our Park Adventurers Club, they were like, no,
Hmm.
number one or number two, like I mean, they were like, this one is all they're all in on this
Yeah.
one, so. So your feeling on this one is probably going to be, I'm guessing you're going to want to put this A tier. There's no way you're putting this S tier, right?
No. 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 I
Okay.
would probably put it B tier, to be
Oh
honest,
yeah.
because
Okay.
it would be difficult for me to say that I would. Yeah, I'll come back to and revisit this when we get to Muppet Christmas Carol, because I feel like you have to talk about both of them at the same time.
Okay.
But I'm gonna put this on B tier.
Yep. So yeah, I don't disagree with that one because again, Tim Curry was amazing. Love me some Tim Curry. He is so good. Whether it's Clue or Rocky Horror or
Yeah.
it or whatever he's doing, he's always amazing. Love him. Great. Fantastic. The Wild Thornberries. Perfect. Anyway, but he is great in this and the commitment and it's a weird transition for them because they used to do what like we're talking about the cameos all over the place. This is different in the fact
Hmm.
that you have one central star instead, like, and I feel like that works pretty well.
It does for what they're doing, and I think it lets the story shine through a little bit more. It's not
Yeah,
about
that.
being meta. It's not about the comedy. I mean, I hate to say it's not about the comedy with Tim Curry as the lead, but like, it's not about the sight gags and the stupid little one-offs that you could get away with if you wanted to, but I think it would cheapen it because like, it really is about the story. And something that I saw online going around is the reason these were so good is because Tim Curry with a cast of Muppets plays it like he's one of the Muppets, and Michael Caine plays it like they're all just other actors, and he's doing like a full stage production. He's playing it serious as a car wreck, and I think that lends so much credence to it that they were both able to go in these opposite directions, but like to meet the tone of what they were trying to do. It lets the story shine through and lets their performances be Like that's the one thing we're talking about right now is the human actor's performance here
Yep.
instead of sight gags, instead of anything else.
Yep. Serious as a car wreck? Is that what you said?
Serious as a
Yeah.
car wreck.
So
Yeah.
I have that one here. Let me just tell you, my friend, there's a thing on this one called Pepe Profile Presents Fozzie Bear. There should be more of this crap on Disney Plus. I'm just saying, because when you go to Disney Plus from Muppet Treasure Island, all you get is promo video, and it's like that's it. And
Mm,
so, like, if it exists and you own it, put it on there. Like, I don't
yeah.
understand. Like, you should do more of that kind of stuff. So, I agree with you. I think that's pretty solid B tier. But let's get into Muppet Christmas Carol. Then you said like let's caveat into that one. I got to tell you, and I've said this openly millions of times. This is my quintessential Christmas Carol. I don't want any others.
Okay. I can see that. It was mine for many years too. Christmas Carol's like one of my favorite stories of all time, and I
Oh,
watch it every year. And the Jim Carrey one got me because it's so much closer to the book, and there's one particular line in there that they always jump over where it like takes a nice jab at the church, and it makes my Irish rebel heart smile. And they had that in the Jim Carrey version, and I've never seen it in any other version of the story. So that really was like the deciding factor for me to come over to the Jim Carrey one. But other than that, like this was it for many years. And this is, I've shown this now to my grandparents, and I showed it to my kids. Like this is my favorite Christmas movie. And we watch it every year. It's just mwah.
well, and you know what? It does return a little bit. You've got to appreciate to the original Dickens text and the fact that they put they put Gonzo in as the narrator, and he is Charles
Yeah.
Dickens, and he's making more references than I think, say, I don't know, a Barbie Christmas Carol. I don't know. It's been retold
Oh,
so many
absolutely.
times, but I feel like it does
Yeah.
a pretty good job in doing that more so than say Scrooge or even Mickey's Christmas Carol or any of those. So I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
this one is my favorite version of that movie, but also like the music from Paul Williams in this one. Ugh,
Hmm.
perfect. The only other music that is Muppet Christmas was the John Denver Christmas with the Muppets, which I don't know if you've ever heard, but
Hmm.
that one was like my youth, the John Denver Christmas with the
Yeah.
Muppets. So this one, everywhere you know it's Christmas. Like I mean, all of it just like is so good that I
Yeah.
enjoy this one. I enjoy this one so much.
And I think that's why, in relation to Treasure Island, that's why it goes on a lower level, is because like yeah, they're both fun, and they're both faithful retellings, and both lead actors did an incredible job. But this one hits you in the heart so strong, and the music is so like, even yes, nostalgic, but like just if you're hearing it for the first time when love is gone, or it feels like Christmas, like it's
Yeah.
just a good song that's written beautifully, performed perfectly. And I think that sets it apart, because we don't really talk about cabin fever as in the same way we do as it feels like Christmas. So that's why it would be difficult for me to put Treasure Island on the same level, only because of that,
So
because of the music and the heart.
yeah, I agree. I mean, again, I'm not walking around, and I don't know why they were only what 4 years apart. I think it was 92 and 96. I don't know why the Treasure Island one didn't hit me the way that the Christmas Carol one, but the Christmas Carol is I'm all in for, and the other one I'm just like, "Eh." um.
Yeah,
So
it's fine.
so where with that said, are you feeling like I'm trying to read you on this, brother? Are you saying S tier for this one, or are you saying it's like an
I
A
think
tier?
I'm I think I'm saying S tier.
Woo! I'm with
I
you.
I
Let's
would be
do it. Let's
happy with,
go.
yeah, I'd be happy with A, but I think this is everything they can be when they set their minds to telling a story. This is the absolute best version of what you're going to get.
No notes. No notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's why I feel like S is going to be no notes. We're good. Michael Caine, yeah, I've heard the same thing. The commitment to the bit, the fact that he was there and he was like, "I'm a thespian. This is an acting gig, and we are here. We are in this time period, and we're doing this." And just the commitment to it. And I love it. I love every casting call, like with Bean Bunny being the, yes sir, it's Christmas Day, with with
Hmm.
like Robin as Tiny Tim, and the combo of Beaker and Dr. Bunsen Honeydew coming to collect the money, like so,
Yeah.
and then the combo, the Marley and Marley with Statler
Oh
and
yeah.
Waldorf, like the
Statler and
Marley and
Waldorf.
Marley. Yeah, we're Marley and like, oh my god, love it, love it. All right, all right,
Yeah.
all right, we're good. All right, next one. This is going to be, again, this is going to throw back a little bit for me to my nostalgia. Is the Great Muppet Caper. The Great Muppet Caper, when it came out, I was a kid. There were McDonald's glasses to collect. It was a
Oh,
big
cool.
deal for me. Charles Grodin was kind of the sort of off star on this one. So again, it kind of danced around that idea of having the central star of it. But it wasn't one star. It was all the cameos and everything else that came up with it.
Yeah.
I like the opening where it's a movie, and it's very meta in the whole, like, the idea of like, we're the Muppets and we're making this movie and here's what it's going to be. And it starts out with them like going, where are the credits? Oh, the credits are up here. And and then they have this big dance scene, and all of that stuff happens, and then there's a whole bit about the twins, like so funny, like the whole, like, yeah, Fozzie, he goes, no, I'm Kermit, is all right, the hat. I
Yeah.
don't know, but here's the thing about the cameos in this one is I don't think they stand the test of time. I think you're looking at this and you're probably going, is that a cameo? Do I know who that person is? Like,
Yeah. Some
yeah,
of them I liked. Um, that was the one where Peter Ustinov was a truck driver, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So things like that where it's like we're getting the tail end of some of these actors who, they're probably getting a little too old for this, but we snuck them in right before the end. Like they would have been great on the original Muppet Show, and we're just sneaking them into the end of the run, or the end of this era of films with those last two. So I kind of agree that, like, yeah, the cameos didn't really stand the test of time, and I probably could have used more. I think the cameos are a little um, too much now with the modern Muppet stuff, but I feel like this one and Muppets Take Manhattan, I could have used a little bit more cameos that kind of mattered.
let me tell
I
you the
think I think
bit,
it would have been nice to have more.
the cameo bit that I love with John Cleese sitting at the dining room table. That whole John
Yes.
Cleese thing, it was like you took a little bit of Monty Python, just enough, and you put it into the middle of this movie, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh, it's just a pig climbing up the building. Oh, quite, quite." It's just like,
Yeah.
and then
That
he's like, "Oh, well, a dinner? Yeah, you could go here. Well, it's actually more of a supper club. Like, I mean,
that I those kind of things where like that fits within the story, and like I was saying earlier about the cohesiveness of the story, that is a nice little, one-off scene that you can just kind of inject around, and like Piggy sneaks into an apartment and then gets picked up. Like that's the entire one-off. So anything that happens around it is just gravy, and that was the perfect way of doing it versus like later on in the film, like I think it was that one. She's fighting with Kermit, and they like stop after a while, and they're like, "Wait, are we actually fighting now, or is this just the script?" And they like turn away from the camera, and they're whispering to each other as though the two actors are having a fight, and they're like, "You know what? We can deal with this later. Let's go back. We got to get back to the movie." And it just like it's so meta and so it pulls you out of it, of like, oh, we're suspending our disbelief, we're having fun, whatever, and then they have this thing that kind of takes it all out, and it just throws it off. I think the John Cleese scene is the perfect way of keeping fun little goofy asides in there, without throwing off the pacing of the film.
Yeah, no, I agree with that part of it. There is a lot of jokes in this one. Again, the twins situation, they're looking for the baseball
Hmm.
diamond is the diamond that they're looking for. The whole bit you were talking about, it's like, well, where do you think I live? Well, okay, I think you live at this. Well, what number do you think I live in? Oh, yep, okay, I'll meet you there. Let's talk a second though about these movies in a lot of cases do things with Muppets that we've never seen them do before because they all kind of came off of the Muppet Show where they were in a controlled environment. They were in a very well lit, controlled. We can build ramps and things to get underneath and do these things and do our close ups and all that kind of stuff. And then they were
Hmm.
like, let's do movies where we're doing them on the street or they're riding bikes or they're doing other things. And sometimes it's neat to see them sort of push the envelope. And I think in those early movies, you saw them push the envelope and you're like, I wonder how they did that. But at the same time, you're like, it looks like they were trying to make Fozzie walk, and therefore it doesn't quite look right. It's either a green screen
Hmm.
or something else. This is the worst, though. Is this person wearing a Miss Piggy costume
Oh yeah.
driving
Yeah,
the
they used
motorcycle?
that costume in several scenes, and it's always off-putting. Yeah,
There's a little. Yeah.
they I go ahead.
Going back to it's one of those things that like when you talk about nostalgia and you're like if I were to have sat with my kids and watched this and I didn't, but if like when they were little, if I had sat with them and watched this, I would have gone, ooh, this wasn't quite as good as I remember it being. Now watching it this week by myself, I was like, oh, this was a fun movie. I liked this movie. So
Hmm.
I'm getting the impression you didn't love this movie.
It's fine. I mean, I kind of, especially coming off of the Muppet movie, which I know we haven't talked about yet, but like that's a really tall order to follow up that movie. So
Yep.
I think they went a different direction with it, and I can see like with the bike riding scene and stuff where it's like, okay, we did this in the first one. Yeah, I would put it as B or
Can you
C.
do
I'm gonna
B?
let you make this call. I could do
Can we do
B.
B? Okay. Again,
Yeah, I could do B.
I know a little bit of that is my nostalgia talking. I understand that completely. But at the same time, I enjoy it as far as the movie goes. Charles Grodin's acting was horrible in this. Like when he's like, "Hey,"
Yes.
like trying to play like this brother. Everybody else's acting was acting, and his was like overacting. So that's what made that weird.
Yeah.
Rest his soul. He has passed on since then. It's so funny, not
Oh,
funny,
I
but it's
didn't know he
interesting.
died.
Yeah. So it's interesting
Ah,
watching some of these things and realizing how many of these people are no longer with us in some of these movies.
yeah.
Because Kermit turned 70 this year. Like 70 years of Kermit the Frog. That is
Wow.
insane. Even though Jim passed away in 1990, we're talking about 70 years of Kermit the Frog. And
Yeah.
so he's been with us for a while. Let me pause on this for a second and ask you this question because it's been rattling around in my brain. Is we have in Disney the Fab Five, right? Mickey, Minnie,
Mhm.
Donald, Goofy, and Pluto, the Fab Five. And even though you got Daisy out on the side here, and then maybe we include Tink sometimes or Stitch sometimes, there's the Fab Five. Who are the main? I feel like it's four Muppets. I feel like there are four main Muppets. Would you agree to that?
Mm, for the older years, yes. Um, but I think it goes up to five by the 90s. I think Rizzo should be included because he was
Hmm.
around in so much stuff. Um, like he was the guy, and I know now Pepe is included with them as well, but you don't see Pepe on the merchandising and stuff, and there's no Pepe restaurant with prawn pizza. I think
But
Rizzo, as
shouldn't
we
there
get,
be?
I think there should, I think there should always be more Muppets. I think they should do more, but I agree. The main four being Kermit, Piggy, Fozzie, and Gonzo for many years, and then I think Rizzo got injected in the 90s and became like one of the core group. Where if you're going to have that sticker that you're going to put on something, it's going to be Rizzo included.
Look who's on the front of both of these though. Animal.
Oh yeah,
So
Animal.
he's kind of the representative of the of Electric Mayhem more so than Dr. Teeth, which is weird.
Yeah.
But like again, this one only has the four that we just discussed.
Yeah.
This one has the four plus Animal again on that one. So yeah,
Yeah. I didn't even think about Animal.
yeah, because I think you're right. I think when we think about it, and they put them out, and I'm thinking about all these covers and things. It's like Miss Piggy and Kermit, obviously, and then Fozzie and Gonzo, because I feel like you've got Miss Piggy and Kermit are a couple, and Fozzie, Gonzo, and Kermit are buddies, and so I feel like the four of them
Hmm.
together make kind of the core. But I do think you were talking about how your favorites change. Animal was my favorite growing up, so but Pepe's the
Okay.
man now. So. Uh, yeah, so there we go. All right, so let's go with the two new ones because I feel like you got to kind of talk about them together. There was,
Yeah.
and by the way, it's been 11 years since we've had a theater Muppet movie. That's insane to think about with this
Yeah.
property. There's been TV, but there's been 11 years since we've had this theater movie with the Muppets Most Wanted.
And even at that, the TV we've had two individual seasons and one special. Like this is the most vastly underused purchased property because like Star Wars has something every couple of weeks and they make all these Marvel shows. I'm a big Marvel fanboy and even I'm saying why are we doing some of this stuff? Like why are we wasting time and money on this? We own the Muppets.
I
Like
know.
just
That's why we're here, buddy.
do the
That's why we're
Muppet
talking about this.
show.
Exactly. All right, so let's start with the Jason Segel one because that one happened in 2011. Jason Segel helped to or co-write and kind of resurrect the Muppets is what it was called,
Hmm.
and it was kind of again that quintessential Muppet vibe of their we got to get the band together, which happens in several Muppet situations. We got to get the gang
Yeah.
together. It's been years again, self-deprecation. People have forgotten about them, and they talk about that. Rashida Jones is like the executive that talks about how irrelevant they are, and I feel like this one hits home a lot because I think to myself, like you just said, this is underused. Everybody says they love the Muppets, but why isn't there more Muppet content? Don't you think that if Disney thought they could make money, they do like them dollar bills, that they would do more things with the Muppets? Maybe I don't know, but it is kind of feels a little true. And then they kind of debunk it at the end when there's this great huge celebration and all of Hollywood fills up because they're there for the Muppets. And it was an interesting
Hmm.
call in that movie for them not to make the money but then to turn around and like be celebrated. I don't know. That was a thing. So I loved this
Yeah.
movie because it felt like you're fixing the Muppets. We're bringing them back. You're giving them more excitement. The
Yeah.
music was great. Am I a Man or Am I a Muppet is so good. I feel like, and the reveal
Yeah.
of Jim Parsons in it when that happens blew my mind. And my daughter,
Yeah.
who is now she's in college now, she is totally into that movie in particular because like again it
Hmm.
has sort of the central character with Jason Segel and Amy Adams, those central characters, but it also introduces a new Muppet which doesn't always come around too much, the new Muppet with Walter. But
Yeah.
I liked this movie, but I need your vibes on it.
I no notes, man. That's I agree wholeheartedly. I would say this is probably the best Muppet movie. Like aside from favorite, this is the best made Muppet movie. It's funny, it's well written, the dialogue is on point, the songs are great. That the one song got nominated for an Academy Award. Um, it made enough money to where they did a sequel, and I think this is what the Muppets can be in the modern day, and why can't we have more of this, please? If the algorithm is listening, please put more Muppets, Jason Segel Muppets movies on, please.
The algorithm is always listening, my friend. It cost
Good.
45 million to make, which by movie standards in
That's
2011 was
nothing.
probably nothing. And then it made 171 million worldwide, which again, not too bad. To your point
Yeah.
is to your point, it's like okay, you've got something relevant again. Let's make a sequel for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like, and I this is the one I've just the most recently this week watched, but also on top of that, it's one of my favorites, honestly, because like you said, it's a quality movie. Like they put money into it, and it's using
Hmm.
2000s standards, not 1979 standards, as far as how you shoot a movie, the lighting, the story, like the story.
Yeah.
And there's some things that don't make sense, but they make sense in a way that's on purpose almost. Like the goofiness of Amy Adams is teaching shop in what seems like an elementary school class. She's fixing cars. That his brother is a Muppet. Like that he
Hmm.
never grows. Like there's a lot of really meta weird stuff in this one. But again, the music is all original. It's great. Everything is good. Everything is great. I mean,
And it feels organic that like the music, and this is always a problem with musicals and with other Muppet movies. It feels organic that these songs would happen. And I don't get that same feeling with Muppets Most Wanted. It feels like they were like, oh, well, you guys want music and we got nominated for a music, so let's give you all the music. So they did a song every 10 seconds
I'm number
and they were
one.
fine. The music is good. Yeah, like I love that song. It's still fun music, but it doesn't feel needed. It's not as good, and it doesn't like Man or Muppet hits you in the heart. I think it's the same thing as the Christmas Carol. It hits you in the heart, and I think a lot of the songs in the second one were just kind of there to fill the runtime, and it that's probably why it wasn't as good and didn't do as well, is because it doesn't have that emotional punch, I think.
So are you saying S tier for this one, or are you saying A?
I'm saying S tier. I think I'm
Okay.
saying S tier. Would you agree?
I would agree. I'm gonna, but here's the thing: is that you're gonna be a little bit more critical than I am, clearly, and that's why you're here. You're gonna balance it out because
Hmm.
I'm gonna be like they're all S. No, I'm not gonna do that because we're gonna talk about Muppets Take Manhattan in a second. But honestly, I think that it is a modern take on the Muppets with the actual Muppets. It's a Muppet story, not Christmas Carol retold, not Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz retold. I think if I were putting in the made for TV stuff, I'd probably put Haunted Mansion maybe A or even S. But
Yeah.
this one right here felt like with the original music, the fact that again there are generations now who are listening to this music. This is their Muppets movie. I and it pays homage in so many ways. My wife was upset with the maniacal laugh bit. I kind of think it's funny,
I
but
like it. I think it's
yeah,
great.
okay. But so here's a sidebar before we talk about that second movie is that there was talk about Josh Gad being involved with some kind of a Muppet project that they were talking about doing before Muppets Mayhem happened. They were talking about, and I don't remember if it was a movie or a TV show, and apparently he had written the whole thing and it was all ready to go, and then there was some falling out and they just canceled it. Did you heard anything about that? Because I feel like that would have been
No,
along the
I
lines
hadn't.
of the Jason Segel.
There was a bunch of stuff in the works that I had heard of coming down the pipeline in regards to TV shows that weren't officially canceled, but just reshelved for development at a later date because I think even internally, this is during the Chapek years, even internally, they were like, "What are we doing? We're losing money on this. We got to figure it out." And then when Iger came back, everything got put on hold, and we're just going to have to relook at every single thing we've ever touched. So there's a lot of stuff that's been in various stages of development and writing that's just sitting there waiting. Among them, the Darkwing Duck reboot that they were going to do. They had two different iterations. One was from the guys as a spinoff who did DuckTales, and they were just going to do the spinoff that they set up for like 5 episodes in DuckTales, and then they that got canned, and they said, okay, Seth Rogen and his company are going to do a Darkwing Duck spinoff, and then that got canceled, and they just keep, and it's not officially canceled, it's just reshelved until we can figure out what's going on. But like, I'm sure the Muppets were part of that, just permanently reshelved until we can decide what we want to do.
Yeah. Um, Honestly, yeah. This one I just as you were talking, I looked it up. It's called Muppets Live Another Day, an unfinished Muppet series. Uh, unfinished Muppet series that was to air on Disney Plus, first announced in 2019, developed by Josh Gad and writers Adam Horowitz and Eddie Kitsis, who were the two behind Once Upon a Time and Tron Legacy. So it
Oh, okay.
would have been pretty interesting. I know that they had a production company at one point, so that they were doing things with Disney. But yeah, no, I get that there was a lot of stuff that was put on hold and that didn't happen. I hate when things don't happen. And we talked on our park show last Sunday night about things that like Muppet things that used to exist and Muppet things that never happened. And there was that great Muppet movie ride that was supposed to happen. And I feel like as I'm
Hmm.
watching all of these Muppet movies that you could just take the content from these Muppet movies and make a Muppet movie ride where you're going through like them making like, the original movie or the new ones or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
so much IP, as you talked about earlier, that it just feels like it's going wasted. Like there should be a Muppets Dark
Yeah.
Ride. There should be. There should be a Muppets Dark Ride.
Yeah.
The Muppets and
Well, I mean, if you
animatronics.
want to travel overseas, there's the Sesame Street dark rides,
I do want to
the
travel
the spaghetti
overseas.
monster. Yeah.
I want to see a Fraggles one with the trash heap. That's what I want to see.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
All right, so I think we're good with putting that one S tier. So then let's talk about its partner that came out right after it, which was, I mean, if you think about it, maybe killed the Muppet movie franchise if it was the last one to come
Yeah.
out in 2014, which was seemingly set up for success. You had Tina Fey, you had Ty Burrell at a time when he was hot, you had Ricky Gervais, who was always funny, to me anyway. And then
Hmm.
you brought it was a seemingly continuation, and it opens up with this, we're doing a sequel, and it has that whole bit, and
Yeah.
they clearly end it where, or begin it where the first one ended with a fake Jason Segel and Amy Adams from behind, and then like,
Yeah.
oh well, I guess now we're moving on to the next thing, and then they start a world
They
tour.
didn't even say goodbye.
It's so rough. I mean, poor Walter. And they start a world tour, and they there's this Constantine character who is like the evil Kermit. And I mean, I was talking to my wife about the two movies, and she was like, she thinks she likes that one better, and I was just like,
Really?
I don't, but I get. I mean, people like different
Yeah.
things. So what? So you tell me your thoughts on this one, because I feel like this one's a B, because I feel like it's not horrible, but I don't think it's great. Like I think about rewatchability. Like I
Yeah.
don't. How many times do I want to go back and rewatch this one? But you tell me what you think.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think Ricky Gervais has the single greatest name for a bad guy of all time, Dominic Badgie. Other than that, there's not a lot that I think about this movie, and I was so excited to see it, and I saw it in theaters. I just rewatched it again last night, and it still is like it's fine. It's got some catchy songs, uh, but like I said, they kind of feel forced, and it doesn't really have the same heart that some of the other stories do. So
Chat's
it just kind of meh. Hmm.
Chat's disagreeing a little bit. They think instead of B, it should be a C, one and done.
Um, I could live with a B or a C. Yeah, like
Um, and
yeah,
well, so we actually ranked number wise once Pixar movies, and I got totally just like slammed in where I put certain movies specifically up. But um, my precursor to that was that I put it in as all Pixar movies to me are good. Even The Good Dinosaur, I don't mind. So like I'm not saying it was like saying, if you're calling it trash, you're calling it trash within its fiefdom. You're not
yeah,
saying that
within
it's
its
trash across the
yeah,
board. So I feel like the same needs to be said about the Muppets. Is we're not calling any of them specifically trash, especially because people have nostalgic ties to them, and I don't want hate mail. But also because it's Muppets and they're good. However, you've got to sort of like pick and choose where they are, and so I think rewatchability is definitely a thing. Like, how many times would you rewatch this? So, it's fine, one and done, which is our C tier, may be the place to put it instead of B. Like, do you think it's on the same level as Muppet Treasure Island, where we put that at B?
mm. No, that's a good point. I would put that as one below Muppet Treasure Island. So if that would be level C.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Which
wait,
again,
no, yeah,
it's
yeah, level C.
yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah,
So there's that.
it's
And
good enough.
yeah, and I'm saving Muppet Vision for last year. So let's talk about the Muppets, the original Muppet movie. Let's talk about that one
Hmm.
because that one is 1979. It's the original. It opens up with Kermit in the swamp with his banjo and the most iconic song that I could never get enough of, the Rainbow Connection, when he sings it. And when he sings it, I feel like
Hmm.
I need to kind of sing it like him when I'm singing it.
Yeah.
What I mean, I'm not doing that with Lady Gaga songs necessarily, but I'm doing it with when I'm singing along to Kermit. Why or like I go into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like the cameos in here, there are a ton of them, and they were all superstars. I feel like, and so
Hmm.
therefore they felt more relevant to like Bob Hope is in there, who you
Yeah.
gotta know who Bob Hope is. I think most people know who Bob Hope is, and he was a comedy legend. Milton Berle, Mr. Television himself, was in there. Like again, this is not my generation. I don't know how old people think I am. This was not my generation of stars, but these were legends that
But
were
you
in
still
this
know them.
movie.
They're still famous. Everybody
Right.
knows Dom DeLuise. Like, there's nobody who watches movies who doesn't know Dom DeLuise. And I mean, Milton Berle, maybe, but like, Bob Newhart, these guys are legends. And that when you have the category stands the test of time, like this isn't, I don't know if anybody's going to remember some of the cameos we had even in the modern ones. Like there was one in the Muppets Most Wanted that I just don't know who it is, and I lived through that time, and I have no idea who this kid
Is it
is.
Ross
But
Lynch?
he got
Is it Ross Lynch, the blonde kid?
I don't know. The blonde kid, yeah, who is that?
Ross
What did he
Lynch. He was
do?
from. He had his own band. It was called R5, and he had a show called Austin and Alley on the Disney Channel. He was a huge
Never heard
like
of
teen
any of
heartthrob for
those
the
things.
tweens.
Okay, that's
As soon
probably
as you
why.
said I didn't recognize him, I was like, Austin and Alley. You're talking
Yeah,
about Ross Lynch, yeah.
yeah.
So,
But yeah, I think having the big stars, the big cameos, that helps to increase it because then no matter when you watch it, you're like, oh, cool. And that's pretty much all you need from a cameo is, that guy. And if you don't know who that guy is, it loses its impact.
Steve Martin, come on, Steve Martin as the waiter.
Hmm.
Bob Hope. I'm cheating here. Mel Brooks. What? Mel Brooks? That was crazy.
Yeah.
James Coburn, Elliot Gould, Milton Berle, Dom DeLuise. Yeah, it was crazy, the list of stars at that time. So this was a big deal, and I think this was Jim calling in all his favors probably because
Yeah.
they were like, and honestly, I saw a video from one of the guys who created Muppet Babies, who was saying
Hmm.
why that won't stream is because there was a lot of stuff that they put in there that was references to other movies and things that they shouldn't have had the rights to, but because Jim had these relationships, they were like, yeah, go ahead and use it. But now, if like the Disney company wants to put it on to Disney Plus, they're not going to do it without these huge
Yeah.
copyright penalties, and so that's why we don't have
Yeah.
Muppets Tonight. That's why we don't have Muppet Babies on streaming, is because of the copyright issues. But at this time, Jim was probably like, "Hey, Bob Hope, you want to come do my thing?" And he's probably like, "Sure, yeah, I'll come do that." So
Yeah.
big. Does this follow your storyline coherency?
Yes. I think I'm trying to remember the end. It's been a while since I've seen this one. I didn't go back and rewatch it because I thought I knew it all. Um,
It's
but
so
the
it
end,
starts
it,
in
it just kind of ends.
yeah. You're talking about when it ends? Yeah, they go and they
Yeah,
find
like it.
Orson Welles. They find Orson Welles. Orson
Okay.
freaking Welles is the guy who's like the big dude in the office, and he's like, go
Yeah.
get the standard rich and famous contract, which is re-referenced in the Muppets, which is again awesome.
Yeah.
But they sign that, and then they go and they make a movie of the trip that they took, and so it introduces the mayhem and the bus and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's quintessential. Is it S tier or is it A?
Mm,
I don't think it's below that.
I, no, no, it's not below that, but that is the question. Is it S tier or is it A? I'm gonna say A tier because, you watch that one and then you go watch the Muppets and you're like, I can see everything they did with the Muppet movie. It was great. They were trying, they were doing it, but they just, with the time, the technology, the budget, um, everything, they couldn't make it to the Muppets. Even though I'm sure if given the time and the technology, I'm sure Jim Henson would have done it that way. That seems like the movie he would have wanted to make. That's the Disney World, and then you've got the Muppet movie Disneyland.
Yeah. No, good point. I love it. Okay, so we put that one at A tier. It's alone at A tier. Then we come to Muppets Take Manhattan because again, holding Muppet Vision for last, but Muppets Take Manhattan.
Hmm.
I got to tell you, I don't remember this one, and I thought I did. I thought I knew the Muppet Movie, The Great Muppet Caper, and Muppets Take Manhattan cold. I think this one hit me in a weird spot, and I think this one was
Hmm.
everything to a lot of our viewers in the pack. So this one was 1984. The Muppets Take Manhattan, 84. So I don't know why they would be into this one. So that was a while ago. But so it's Muppet Movie 79, Great Muppet Caper 81, Muppets Take Manhattan 84. And so this is another one that's not on Disney Plus. So I had to have the DVD for
Hmm.
this one. So it was this one and Muppets from Space are not on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Um, I watched it and it didn't give me the feels. It was weird in the fact that it just didn't feel as cohesive. I watched some behind the
Yeah.
scenes stuff on the DVD because it was there on the DVD, and Jim Henson was talking about how cool it was to film in New York because most of the stuff they filmed in London and in
Hmm.
studios and things there. And this one was actually filmed in the streets of New York. How that was,
Yeah.
and that he was talking about Frank Oz directed, and so the cameos were very purposeful. Joan Rivers, Gregory Hines, weird pulls, but
Yeah.
again, probably of the time. So you tell me what you think of this one. Does this one hold a special place for you?
No, the first time I saw this movie, I remember it well. It was Tuesday, and it just, I don't know. It was fine. Like, I think it's not as good as the Muppet Caper. It felt like they weren't using enough cameos. Like, I know they were purposeful, but they just kind of didn't really go anywhere. Um, and then this is one of the problems I had with the coherence is there's the part where Kermit loses his memory and they have to find him and it provides a ticking clock and all that, but they just keep cutting away to him in the office living his new life and establishing all of this in a span of like a week. And it doesn't really do anything for the story. And then there's the Muppet Babies flashback thing that does nothing for anyone. And then the end of the thing, I know the show they're putting on is Broadway Melodies. So it is just kind of a clip show, a Broadway style clip show, but like then the whole thing at the end, it just kind of devolves into not quite meta, but it feels very disjointed and it doesn't really move things along. It reminded me of Blazing Saddles at the end where they just like they're in the Wild West and then they bust through the wall and now they're on a Busby Berkeley soundstage and they're fighting through the Paramount lot or whatever. It's kind of funny, I guess, to see all these weird juxtaposition things thrown together, but it doesn't really do much and it just kind of gets out of hand and you really have to rein it in hard to get back to any kind of satisfying finale with it. And this one just kind of stops.
Yeah, it lost me from the beginning when they're in college. It's like, wait, weren't you
Yeah.
guys just like you were like in London solving crimes or whatever, and now you're
Yeah, but I also, each of the movies you kind of take as its own setup of like, they got their standard rich and famous contract. There you go. Now, next time they're crack reporters. And now next time they're college kids. And now next time it's Robert Louis Stevenson. Like, you just take each one as its own standalone story. And I think that up until the Muppets from Space, that one I think starts off like here they are living in their own version of the Happiness Hotel at home. And then that can kind of connect through to, oh, the band broke up for the Muppets. And then that connects through to the next one where we've got some sort of a through line. But I really don't think that maybe the first one and then Muppets from Space would connect. All the others are standalone setups.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I mean, there were so many things I didn't really care for in this one. I didn't think the cameos were great. And again, they seem to be designed differently, according to Jim Henson's words.
Yeah.
The quality of it wasn't quite there. The songs, I mean, it didn't
Yeah.
seem to hit pretty well, pretty much any of that for me. But again, like I said, people who are nostalgic for this one love this one. But I'm not talking from a nostalgic standpoint unless we're talking about dropping it at D, which is kind of why I made D. But also,
Yeah.
like, I feel like that's where this one goes, and I'm gonna make a lot of people angry probably for doing that. But I feel like it's for nostalgia lovers only, and I feel like you could skip it if you wanted to. I don't like
Yeah.
again. I have a nostalgia for Muppets from Space. We talked about that. You know, Muppets Most Wanted is a quality movie, but it's not. It missed a bunch of marks. But I feel like this is below. Do you feel like that we're here?
Yeah, I feel like that's fair. We're running out of movies and D, if we don't put something in D, that means the C-list movies are the worst Muppet movies. And that's not fair. Like that sucks, you know.
And again, all Muppets have their place, right? All Muppets are good.
Yes.
I asked this question in our pack today, and I said, what is your favorite Muppet movie of all time? And I was very clear, like, talking about the regular movies. Obviously, people wanted to talk about the TV shows, and you were talking about the Muppet Babies being pushed into here. Apparently, the series was born out of this. They were like, people seem to like that. Let's make the series, because that came out end of '84. After that, I
Okay.
can't imagine they didn't imagine them at that same spot. But
Yeah.
and my apologies, I'm not going to name any names here, but to the people who said my top spot equally is Muppets Take Manhattan and Muppets from Space. And then someone else said Muppets Christmas Carol and then Muppets from Space. Then someone just randomly said original Muppet Babies, and then Muppets Christmas Carol, The Muppets, Muppet Movie, and this one said The Muppets Christmas Carol and Muppets Treasure Island. And again, this is in our Patreon, this is in our Discord. That people were weighing in on this, but again, I'm trying to make sure we're true to the rules that we set up at the beginning of this one.
Hmm.
So that brings us to one last one, which I think we're going to be very polar opposite on, which is the reason that
Yeah.
this is timed this way, which is Muppet Vision. So Muppet Vision 3D was Jim's last production that he worked on. It came out in 1991. He had made a deal with Disney before he died to bring the Muppets to Disney, to give them a home. He at that time wanted to focus on the creative, didn't want to focus on the business side. So he was like, I think this is a good home for my guys. They had all these ideas of things they wanted to do, and then in I think it was May of 20, yeah, it was May of 20 or May of 1990 he passed away from something that, as Family Guy points out, was very curable. Um, he had
Mm.
pneumonia, and then it turned into sepsis, and he passed away. So
Oh,
I believe
geez.
is yeah. So in 1990 he passed away, and in watching that documentary again, highly recommend it. He was a great man, and I wished. I mean, he was a visionary, and we see that vision in Walt Disney. We see that vision in George Lucas. We see that vision. Like there are these visionaries of people who create these things in times that feels like they're impossible, and they do these things. And he was that kind of personality. He and his
Hmm.
wife Jane put together the original Muppets. Kermit was made from a ping pong ball cut in half and his grandmother's coat, and was not originally supposed to be
Hmm.
a frog. Like this, like so weird. If you go back and look at all this stuff, there was an exhibition up in Maryland that I went and saw of all of his early stuff for the Sam and Friends and things. It's great. So,
That's cool.
but here's a weird thing, Charlie. And I don't understand this really. Is that
Hmm.
usually you celebrate people's birthday, not their death day. But Disney released this movie, Muppet Vision, at Hollywood Studios, then Disney MGM Studios, on the 1 year
Hmm.
anniversary of Jim's death.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why I said. It was like May 16th,
Yeah.
1991. So there's that.
That sucks.
But it recreates kind of the Muppet Show in the fact that you've got Statler and Waldorf up in the balcony, and you've got the theme, the Muppet theme is playing from the Muppet Show. The pre-show was magnificent. I almost loved the
Yeah.
pre-show more than I loved the actual show. The whole like where he comes in and is like, I've got Mr. Mickey Mouse, da, 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 welcome to my park. What do they know? They're tourists. Like all of that stuff. I got Donald Duck back
Yeah.
here. Yeah. Anyway, it was so good to me. By the way, my favorite Muppet line ever, I think, is from A Christmas Carol. Light the lamp, not the rat. Light the lamp, not the rat. I don't know why. With that one's tied with Pepe going, there's been a menu correction, okay? Which is Muppets from Space. Anyway, so Muppet Vision is one of those that I think has been timeless. To me, has stood the test of time. It's 17 minutes long as opposed to these are up to an hour and 51 minutes. So
Hmm.
comparing them may be weird, but to me, it was a big screen movie that you could only see in the theater. And the theater was,
Yeah.
the Muppet Vision Theater. You could only see it in two places, and then they made it one, and in a week's time, it's going to be gone.
That's it.
Um,
Well,
Tell
the
me your thoughts.
however with that, so when it goes, I hope Disney does the same thing that Universal did because when they pulled out
Back to the Future.
um no uh Terminator. No, no, Back to the Future. You're right. When they pulled out Back to the Future, within like a month's time, they released the source footage. They were like, "Here, just go on it at home, have fun."
Yeah.
And someone else for Star Tours leaked the original Star Tours. It wasn't an official Disney release, but it hasn't been taken down. So it's out there. I'm really hoping that they're going to do. I know there's like an animatic, a test shot animatic of Muppet Vision out there right now. But I hope we get a full high quality copy of Muppet Vision to watch at home, hopefully in 3D. So then we can have the home game.
The home game. Fun fact: I can't see 3D. Just saying.
Really?
Yep. Johnny
Do you
Depp
put
has
the
the same
glasses
issue
over your
apparently.
eyes?
I put them over my
What?
eyes to make the picture look right, but I can't see things coming at me. I remember watching there was a
Huh.
movie when I was a little kid in Epcot called Magic Journeys, and there was a thing
Yeah.
with a carousel, and there was a people with a brass ring, and like little kids doing this. I'm like, why is everybody crazy? What are they doing? Because it didn't look like it was like floating there to me. It's some kind of a
Yeah.
weird thing about your connection to your eyes and your brain. But anyway,
Interesting.
I see the things, and it's not like I can't catch a ball. Like I see things coming at me,
Yeah.
but it's just something about that and those little like magic eye books and things that I can't see. So I enjoy
Hmm.
it for the Muppets. It's the most quotable thing in my family. The whole thing is like maybe Bean can light the fireworks. Like so we say that, or does anybody else want anything? As long forever, like all of these little things that we
Yeah.
constantly are bringing up. That are quotes from this thing. Muppet Lab seems to have been sucked up. And then Waldo, the Spirit of 3D, they kind of talk about that a little bit in that Jim Henson documentary I keep bringing up.
Hmm.
Is that he was experimenting with computer generated digital puppets, and that's what Waldo was before that
Hmm.
happened. He was playing around with that. So I I just this one has a special place in my heart. I love the theater. I used to sit back and watch the arrows go back into the wall, and the effects in the theater and all that kind of thing. So even
Hmm.
if they do have the home version like you're talking about, which it sounds like they're going to record it for Disney Plus,
Okay.
it's not going to be quite the same to me as being there. And how are
Yeah.
they going to integrate the pre-show? Is that going to be part of it too? I don't know, but I'm going to miss it.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, I appreciate the fact that it was never packed until they told people it was leaving.
Yeah. That's how it always goes. That's
Yeah.
how everything is with everything at Disneyland, Disney World, whatever is you only it's like a dragon's hoard. You don't know you're going to miss it until it's taken and then you're going to burn down the countryside because that one gold goblet is worth more to me than everything. And it's like, all right, well then why didn't you care about it, a month ago? Um, but that's a separate issue. It's packed now so everyone can say goodbye. And it is a good show. It's not my favorite. It's definitely better than I think what we've had in the space up until PhilharMagic. I do love PhilharMagic, but ours got replaced by preview theaters and trailer clip shows and sing-alongs. And like when they took it out, we were promised it's going to become something cool. And it's like, all right, fine. We can make changes. We can move on. And then nothing cool ever happened. And even PhilharMagic is just a port of what's in Florida, and it doesn't exactly
It's the
fit.
worst PhilharMagic. I don't know if you know that or not, but it's the worst
Yeah,
one.
yeah. And I saw it in Florida, and I saw it here, and it doesn't feel like it should be here. So if they're gonna take it out, if they're gonna actually do something with it, then fine. Otherwise, you've still got the projector. Just put the Muppets back over here. Just put them back. Just swap out the DVD. It's not hard. Um, you
I
know,
like that. I like that. Let's take the Muppets and put them back into onto Hollywoodland in DCA. Let's do
yeah.
that. Okay, so now we gotta vote on this, which I feel like you and I are gonna be very different on this one because to me this is S tier, and because again it's so well executed. It's a glorious 3 hour finale.
Yeah.
You got a minute and a half. It is like the dialogue is there. I don't feel like there's any gaps in it. I love this movie, but I feel like you don't. So is it A? Is that where you're going with this?
I would, yeah, if I would go A, I could go A because honestly, I would say it's probably B at the lowest. I'm going to say A or B naturally, and if you're saying S, we can meet in the middle at A.
Okay. Okay. Because again, I mean, if one of the criteria was 4D effects, then S tier. But
Yeah,
but it's not. I love the vibe of I have this the property of Muppet Labs T-shirt.
Muppet
Um,
Labs.
I I love the whole vibe of this one. By the way, in rewatching all these movies, I forgot how many times Beaker went um, like that. They're like Bunsen
Oh
would
yeah.
go. The effects are only temporary or sadly temporary, and he goes sadly temporary. Like it was just so I don't know why. It just was very funny. Um, so yeah, and Care Bear said, and it's Jim's legacy project, which again I think all of us have said that it almost feels like it should be. A lot of people have said the park should not be a museum, but it feels
Yeah.
like that some things should be sacred, and that's something we're going to talk about on our Park Adventurers show. Is that what is sacred anymore? Is it like because there were so many things that we thought were sacred? The Great Movie Ride, for instance, we thought was sacred.
Yeah.
The Pirates, several scenes in Pirates that were changed, we thought that'll never happen.
Yeah.
So like, is anything sacred anymore? Like, is anything beyond removal at this point? Rivers of America in Florida. Who knew that would happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's a weird one.
yeah,
I think the argument, because this is also something that we've been talking about since the pandemic, since they took out Splash Mountain and everybody lost their minds about Splash Mountain. I don't know if you've been on Tiana's. I'm sure you have. Um, it's fine. It's cute. Um, I think I'm not upset to lose something if we get something good in its place. But to take out Splash Mountain and get Tiana's, I'm a little disappointed with. To take out Muppet Vision and get the Frozen Clip Show, I'm disappointed with. I feel like it's not a matter of, oh, it's sacred, we can't take it out. But are you taking it out for a good reason, and are you going to replace it with something equal or better? If
right.
you take out Pirates, you have to put in like a lot of really cool, like Flight of Passage or something, like something of that level where it's like this is going to break everyone's minds, or Rise of the Resistance. You can take out Pirates. If we get a Pirates of the Caribbean Johnny Depp themed Rise of Resistance version, same ride system, but now, or like the Pirates in Shanghai.
Shanghai. Shanghai. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I was
you
thinking.
can take out our Pirates for that Pirates. Absolutely. Nothing is sacred if you're going to improve it. But if you
Yeah.
take it out to put in, a trailer for Disney Plus stuff, like I don't want to go on the Marvels the ride.
Yeah.
So regardless if it's new.
All right, so let's take one final look here at our rankings. So we've got, for S tier, we've got The Muppets Christmas Carol and The Muppets. For the A, rewatch anytime, crowd pleasers, we've got The Muppet Movie and MuppetVision. And I think a lot of people, especially in our chat, would probably lift these a little bit higher, just because out of, you know, the like the how pioneering these things were. The next one down, we have pretty solid, pretty good, solid picks. The Treasure Island and the Great Muppet Caper. And then in the It's Fine, one and done. I disagree a little bit with Muppets from Space being here, but I get it. We've got to put them somewhere. And then the same thing with Muppets Most Wanted. And then I think we did the right thing with Muppets Take Manhattan at the bottom. So I'm comfortable with this one. If you are, feel like we conceded on a few things. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
we met in the middle a couple of times.
We did. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
My friend, I appreciate you doing this. I want to give a big shout out to our PAC members, the Park Adventures Club. Thank you guys for being members of our Patreon. If you guys want more information on that, you can go to patreon.com/GoPac, and then you can follow us on social at PAC ADV Club on all of your social media platforms. And if you're looking for more things to watch, we did a Park Adventures Club on the Muppets last Sunday night, so you can go check that out here at parkadventuresclub.com. We did a review of Disney's Blank Check. If your 90s experience it was the Muppets and Blank Check, and you're already mad at us, go listen to what we said about Blank Check. Tonight we're doing Rank It, and then this Sunday we have another episode of the Park Adventures Club. We do that live. That is our park show, and you know, we need to get Charlie on that show because this man knows a lot about some parks. Man, thank you so much for doing this, brother. I thank you for coming back and hanging out with us and bringing your knowledge and sharing it with us and your personality, and really appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I've missed this more than you know. So anytime you have an opening, I'll be there.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, enjoy the show tonight. And again, maybe you're going to the fork in the road. I don't know what kind of Muppet craziness you're up to out there, but be safe, and thank you again. And thanks to everybody for watching. We appreciate you. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Sunday night. Hang on a second, buddy, if you're still there.